Oh no, not another diet. Hello, gals, and welcome to Sober Living Snippets, where we do our best to live alcohol free so we can heal our relationships, heal our bodies, heal our minds, heal our souls, and build the life that we want to build. Build the life without compromise that we want to build. Build our businesses, build our careers without compromise. That's the key word here. There will be no compromising with alcohol. We're going to be talking more about that in the future, but today, gals, I'm going to take us back to somewhat the basics here in Snippet Land. But before I do, I just want to say if you're new here, welcome, my dear. You have found a new home. I'm so glad you made your way here because your life will never be the same. Snippet Land is a unique and amazing place where lives are truly transformed. Welcome aboard the Snippet Train. I'm Becca Jacobson, and today I'm going to talk to you about a mental diet. I want you on a mental diet, but what does that look like and why? First of all, basics. Why? Because our thoughts create our lives. Our thoughts create our lives. More specifically, our thoughts create our realities. Our thoughts, of course, combine with emotion and a bunch of other stuff. We're not talking about that today. We're talking about taking control of our thoughts because what we're thinking will create our lives. What we think about ourselves, what we think about our relationships, oh, especially what we think about our past, what we think about our future, all of this combines to create our lives. And yet, most of us allow the mind to just do whatever the hell it wants. And then those of us who try to take control of the mind, knowing these principles, we think, I better get a handle on my mind. We try some meditation, we do a little bit of this, we do some journaling. I need to get a grasp on my mind because I understand that the thoughts I'm thinking are going to build the life that I'm going to live. And then we try for a little while and it gets too hard. And then we need a drink. And the next thing you know, the whole plan is just gone for naught. How do we take care of this so that we can do it over the long term and actually see the results of it? How? How do we do it? Well, it's one of the reasons that I'm here to help you. But I got bad news for you, gals. Here's the bad news. It's not really going to be doable to the level you want it to be if you're still drinking. Even if you're only drinking, let's say 3 nights a week, it's going to throw you off your game. Now, I'll tell you why. Here's why. I know you're thinking, what? Are you trying to tell me, Becca, that people who drink 3 nights a week have lives that are, not what they want them to be? No, not necessarily, but those people aren't here as well. Now, what I mean by that is the fact that you're hearing my voice means that you know your drinking is a problem. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have found the podcast. You wouldn't be here, right? So you already know this is a problem. This is holding me back. I know it is. I have to do something about it. Is there anybody out there who understands what I'm going through? You start looking, you find me. Yay. But because you realize that it's a problem, that means you're never going to get the handle on your mind that you need to move forward in your life, make the changes you want if you're still drinking, which ultimately means you can't moderate, you can't decide to drink less. You're going to have to give it up. And you probably know that as well. So let's get back to the mental diet. I like the concept of a mental diet because, of course, we all know what it's like to put the body on a diet, although most of us don't like it much. So maybe I shouldn't have used that phrase. After all, I don't know many people who enjoy dieting, but we know what it means. It means we're going to decide what to put in our bodies because we expect a certain result over time when we put certain foods into our bodies or eliminate certain foods from our bodies. So we understand the concept. So that's why I'm using the phrase. So if we use that same idea with our minds, that means we have to make a couple of decisions. We have to decide, what am I going to put in my mind? What's allowed in my mind? Just like you would decide, what am I going to eat on this diet? And then on the other side, what am I not allowing into my mind? What do I want to keep out from my mind? Now, that's not that hard when we're talking external things. Like, for example, you could decide you don't want to see any violence. So you don't watch violent shows. You stay, right? It's not that hard to stay away from violence if you don't want violence coming into your consciousness for whatever reason, which, by the way, I personally think is a really good idea, but that's another snippet. So keeping certain things out of our minds from the external point of view is not that hard. We can adjust our lives accordingly. Here's the trick though. How do you keep thoughts that are already in your mind from continuing to be in your mind and feeding your consciousness? In other words, we've got to take control of the thoughts in our mind. We have to take control because if we allow the mind to just go rogue on us, it naturally goes to the past, it naturally goes to mistakes, it naturally goes to negativity. Our minds are recording machines. And if they weren't, we'd be screwed. Because why? We wouldn't be able to learn how to tie our shoes. We wouldn't be able to, the mind records stuff that we've learned, reminds us about it so that we can go through life not having to learn how to tie our shoes again every day, etc. Right? So the mind has it's very, very helpful. We learn how to do stuff and we grow and we build the lives we want. The problem is that if we allow this recording device to run willy-nilly, it's going to be giving you almost all day, every day, just replays from yesterday. And by yesterday, I mean last week, last month, last year, when you were a child, etc. The mind just keeps replaying shit from the past. And it's of absolutely no value to us whatsoever. We dwell there, we hang out there. And by the way, of course, we know that whatever we're thinking has an emotion that goes with it. Whatever we're thinking has an emotion that comes with it, and then that makes us re-feel whatever it is we're thinking in this moment, and that means we are allowing the past to define our present moment simply because we allowed ourselves to think about it, which made us then feel about it, and around and around and around it goes. If we don't decide to take control of this mess that we've got going on, we're not going to be able to get where we want to go. And so there's, of course, a lot we can do, a lot. I would be willing to say that most of my program, most of the 8 weeks in my foundational course, most of the one-on-one coaching I do is based on this, on figuring out how to use the mind in a productive way, in a way that frees us from negative emotions and dwelling on the past. It's, in other words, mindset, right? Whether I'm coaching one-on-one or in a group, we must learn positive mindset. And there's a lot of work involved in that. We use affirmations. We use, not crazy about traditional affirmations, but we use affirmations in a certain way. We figure out how to hook the mind. We come up with internal narratives. We're journaling. We're sharing. We're learning how to take control of the mind. But in terms of this particular episode, I'm going to give you 2 things that I'd like you to do today if you're interested in putting your mind on a mental diet. 2 parts to this, okay? 2 parts. So the first part is I want you to spend about a week noticing what you think about. Now, if you already know this because you're self-aware and you can answer it in a snap of a finger, oh, I know what I think about all day long, Becca. I think about alcohol, or I think about how I don't want to drink, or I think about how I regret drinking, or whatever it is. If you're aware of it, excellent. Write that down. Put it down on a sheet of paper labeled thoughts that are not included on my diet. These are the thoughts not included on my mental diet. And I can tell you what they should be. I'm sure you can guess. I've already said it. Reliving the past, regretting the past, past resentments. There's a lot. There's a lot, right? So you've got to decide, what are you not willing to have in your diet? And then, of course, I'm sure you can guess the second part of this is sit down and write down, what do you want in your mind on this mental diet? Now, this is much harder for most of us. We're like, well, I don't know. I want to think nice thoughts. I want to think positive thoughts. That's it. I'll think positive thoughts. I'll think gratitude. I'll think kind thoughts. I'll try to think nice about others. For most of us, it's more difficult to think nice thoughts about ourselves. We got that, right? That we're not idiots. We figure that out. That's what I want to think, and that's what I don't want to think. The hard part is doing it, right? Doing it. How do we follow through on this diet? Well, of course, it's going to take time, persistence, consistency, and endless patience. And it wouldn't hurt if you were doing some meditation at the same time, but that's another snippet as well. For today, I just wanted to remind you the importance of having, well, I like the phrase, a mental diet, being intentional about what you're willing to think, being intentional about what you're not willing to think. And I want to remind you of this. This is important. So listen up, kids. I'll remind you that the subconscious does not understand or act on negations. Let me say it again. Your subconscious mind does not understand or acknowledge or act on negations. In other words, I don't want to drink does not work. I am not going to think this thought doesn't work. If we want to get the subconscious on board with this mental diet, we have to give it positive thoughts to think. By that, I don't mean positive thinking. I mean the opposite of negations. So instead of I don't want to drink or I'm not going to think about alcohol, we think about what we do want. I can live alcohol free would be a great way to do it. We want to be careful not to say something that feels like a lie. So I can live alcohol free. I enjoy my alcohol free life. I am enjoying my alcohol free life. Those are the types of thoughts that the subconscious mind can hook to, grab onto, and eventually take and create your life for you. And that leads me to the next important piece, your imagination. I want you to be willing to imagine the life you want, the alcohol-free life you want, where you don't even think about alcohol. Are you willing to imagine? A lot of people aren't. We're afraid that imagining something is kind of, well, what's the point? That's just imagination. It's fantasy. What good is that? The truth of the matter is, here's another important one. Your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between imagination and reality. It cannot tell the difference between imagination and reality. When I finally really understood that, I couldn't believe it. My mind was blown. What it means, gals, is that we can close our eyes, imagine the life we want with vividness, including sight, smell, sounds, the breeze in our hair, all the senses. Imagine it vividly, bring into it the emotion that would come with that imagined reality. The subconscious mind believes that it's actually happening for real. Isn't that amazing? Like, that's freaking amazing, because once the subconscious believes that something is happening for real and it realizes it isn't, it makes it happen for us. It actually will make it happen for us. If we say, we lay down on the bed and we get quiet and we imagine that we're our alcohol-free life, and we imagine it in all the detail, and we feel what it would feel like to be free, and we see ourselves walking through life not having to drink, or we see ourselves saying to someone, oh, no, thanks, I'm good, I don't need a drink, and not feeling upset about it. And we imagine that in all its richness and vividness, and we feel the freedom of it. The subconscious mind actually believes that it's happening, and it will get behind you on that. It will stand behind you and make it happen. This is a lot. This is a really fat, juicy snippet. I've covered so many angles that I could actually make 5 different snippets out of this. We definitely need one on the imagination itself, but let's just keep it as simple as possible and consider the idea of a mental diet. Consider how important it is what you put in your mind. It's as important as a physical diet. I know that, yeah, you might not have a perfect diet, but one thing you know for sure, you shouldn't have too much sugar and too much fat. We all know, we agree. We don't think, well, maybe that would be bad for me. We know. It doesn't, like, whether we're doing it or not, whether we're eating right or not, we are aware of it. We need to be equally aware of the importance of a mental diet, because every thought we think creates our lives. And the funny thing is, I think we often believe that our emotions are in charge. Our emotions are dragging us around and creating our thoughts, but it's actually the other way around. Our thoughts create our emotions. So if you're feeling down, you're feeling blue, you're feeling frustrated, what are you thinking? Trace it back to your thoughts, or don't even worry about that. You don't have to trace it back, in matter of fact. Instead, just change your thought. Just think about what you want. Remember, the subconscious doesn't understand negation. So that's like saying, I don't want this, I don't want that. Just say what you do want, what you do have. I live a beautiful alcohol-free life. I enjoy my life without alcohol. These types of thoughts will eventually get your subconscious on board. These are the types of practices I help women do in my program, in my coaching, because this is what will change your life. So give it a whirl, put yourself on a mental diet. Be careful what you allow into your consciousness. You know, I used to go to movies and I'd watch violence and sex and drugs and all. I don't allow any of that crap into my mind anymore. I don't want to see it. It's bad for the soul. It doesn't feel right to me. I never feel good watching violence. Why would I want that in my mind? We should guard the door of our mind and say, no, thanks. I don't need that in my consciousness. Whatever it is, if it doesn't feel good, don't allow it in. Guard the door of your mind. Isn't that beautiful? There it is, gals, a mental diet. I know that was an awful lot, but if you're struggling and you want to get your life cleaned up and started, that it's really worthwhile for you to understand the significance of a mental diet on this journey, and understand that you're going to have to undertake a mental diet of some kind if you really want to get there properly. Of course, I can help you to do that. If you're interested in that, go to the show notes, tap the link that says book your call with Becca. It'll take you directly to my personal calendar, and we'll get together and have a chat, and I'll help you find the path that's right for you, which is probably with me, but not always. When you're ready, I'll be here. And I really hope you don't waste too much more of your precious time, because as we know, it's not renewable. Gals, enjoy your mental diet. Get it started today. Remember, one side of the coin is what I don't want to let in, and the other side is what I'm willing to have on my diet. What I am going to have and what I'm not going to have, just like you would plan a physical diet. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back tomorrow so we can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.